All right, we are in Battlefield of the Mind, Chapter 9, the second section, which is a wandering mind. The verse for this one is Ecclesiastes 5:1. Keep your foot, give your mind to what you are doing. I believe the expression keep your foot means don't lose your balance or get off track. The amplification of this phrase indicates that one stays on track by keeping his mind on what he is doing.
I had a wandering mind and had to train it by discipline. It was not easy, and sometimes I still have a relapse. While trying to complete some project, I will suddenly realize that my mind has just wandered off into something else that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. I have not yet arrived at a place of perfect concentration, but at least I understand how important it is not to allow my mind to go wherever it wishes, whenever it desires.
Webster's dictionary defines the word wander as 1, to move about aimlessly or roam, 2, to go by an indirect route or at no set pace, amble, or 3, to proceed in an irregular course of action, meander. 5, to think or express oneself clearly or incoherently. Now I have to admit that I just have to wonder what was for. That it wasn't. Why isn't 4 in here?
I don't know.
That's going to drive me nuts, but that's okay. Clearly it wasn't relevant.
If you are like I am, you can be sitting in a church service listening to the speaker, really enjoying and benefiting from what is being said, when suddenly your mind begins to wander. After a while, you wake up to find that you don't remember anything that has been going on. Even though your body stayed in the church, your mind has been at the shopping center, browsing through the stores, or home in the kitchen cooking dinner.
I have done that many, many times.
About food.
Remember, in spiritual warfare, the mind is the battlefield. That is where the enemy makes his attack. He knows very well that even though a person attends church, if he can't keep his mind on what is being taught, he will gain absolutely nothing by being there. The devil knows that a person cannot discipline himself to complete a project if he cannot discipline his mind and keep it on what he is doing.
This mind-wandering phenomenon also occurs during conversation. There are times when my husband Dave is talking to me, and I listen for a while, then suddenly I realize that I have not heard a word he has said. Why? Because I allowed my mind to wander off on something else. My body was standing there, appearing to listen, yet in my mind I heard nothing. For many years, when this sort of thing happened, I would pretend that I knew exactly what Dave was saying. Now I stop and say, "Can you back up and repeat that?" I let my mind wander off, and I did not hear a thing you said.
In this way, I feel that at least I am dealing with the problem. Confronting issues is the only way to get on the victorious side of them. I have decided that if the devil went to the trouble to attack me with a wandering mind, then perhaps something was being said that I needed to hear.
One way to combat the enemy in this area is by taking advantage of the recorded messages provided by most churches. If you haven't yet learned to discipline your mind to keep it on what is being said in church, then buy a recording of the sermon each week and listen to it as many times as you need to in order to get the message.
It's a great idea. The devil will give up when he sees that you are not going to give in. I'm going to repeat that again because that is such an important phrase. The devil will give up when he sees that you are not going to give in. Sorry about that. My reminder was coming on for my son to feed his dogs. So we will go back to what we were doing. Remember, Satan wants you to think that you are mentally deficient, that something is wrong with you. But the truth is, you just need to begin disciplining your mind. Don't let it run all over town, doing whatever it pleases. Begin today to keep your foot, to keep your mind on what you're doing. You will need to practice for a while. Breaking old habits and forming new ones always takes time, but it is worth it in the end. The present moment is the greatest gift we have from God, but if we are not present, we miss it. All right, so we are going to hit the questions for this one. But before we hit those questions, we're going to read that Bible verse in a couple of different translations. So Courtney is going to read it in the NIV.
Okay. 5:1. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know what they are doing.
And in the Amplified, it says, keep your foot, give your mind to what you are doing when you go, as Jacob, to sacred Bethel, to the house of God. For to draw near to hear and obey is better than to give the sacrifice of fools, carelessly and irrelevantly, too ignorant to know that they are doing evil. So he wants the sacrifice to be as keeping our minds on him, and that when we are worshiping him, that we are truly focused on him. How easy is it to get caught up in the music when you're trying to worship God? And then your mind is on the music, which may be absolutely lovely music. And, we see in Scripture that God does love music. But when our minds are more on the tune than on who we are worshiping, then it means we're distracted. So let's see what the questions are for this one. What does the expression keep your foot mean? What is it a warning against?
Stay grounded.
Stay
where you are. Don't
Yep, keep your mind focused on what you're dealing with. Yep. And it's just a warning against wandering off, like you said. Yeah. Let's see what she says. She says, don't lose your balance or get off track. And it's a warning against a wandering mind.
Stay on track.
And then she says, give an example from your own life of a wandering mind. Well, gosh, that's easy for me because I struggle with a wandering mind, where I'll start listening to someone and then I frequently have to say, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you just said to me. It's embarrassing, but I also have found that, like, if I don't just go ahead and say that, then I'm trying to catch up the whole time that they're talking, and I don't really know what they're getting at. Well, then I lose even more of what they're now trying to say. So it's just better to, like, get out in front of it as soon as it happens. But and then the other thing that I have problems with the wandering mind, and I've never really stopped to think about it in regards to what she's teaching, but if I go to clean something in my house, a lot of times I will start off to, let's say, clean the kitchen, and then I find something that doesn't belong in the kitchen.
And then I get off track.
I go to take it and put it in the laundry, and then I see that there's laundry that needs to be folded. So the next thing you know, I'm folding the laundry, and I end up working all day long on the house, and then feeling like I didn't accomplish anything. And it's so frustrating. And so this is the first time I've really thought about that as a wandering mind, like she's talking about.
And I have tried to really, like, focus on staying in one room and just do in that room, because someone taught me that. So I try to stay in that room and finish that room before I move on, because I was the same way, and I still do it, but it's helped a little bit to stay on track.
And I guess that's, really that's what we're doing with our minds, even when we're trying to focus on the preacher preaching or our scripture reading or whatever it is it's staying in that room and not letting ourselves mentally go somewhere else. So I love that correlation. She says, how do you correct a wandering mind? And I think in her teaching, she was just saying, like, you've got to discipline it and you've got to keep getting back on track. And the more that you develop the habit of staying on track, then the easier it becomes.
Yeah. The more that I did go, the more that I started doing that, because it's really helped me with, so we're selling our house, and so she'll text me and say, you have 2 hours before somebody's coming. So I'm thinking, I used to freak out. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. And it would really stress me out to try to get it picked up and everything. And now I'm like, Courtney, you've done this about 37 times, you're fine. So I just And instead of panicking about it and overthinking it and having an anxiety attack, I just start doing it. I just have to do, instead of just sitting there and letting it. And then once I do, I still have to stay in that room and finish everything, because I will jump all around and go take this. So I try to make like little piles. I'll make a pile for this room, and then this room, and then this room, and then I'm like, okay, this goes in the bathroom, and then I take it all. And so I've had to do that, like decompartmentalize, because I wonder all day long if I don't discipline a little bit. So
isn't it awesome though to know that we can get that under control?
I didn't think I could until going through this divorce and going through having, like, it's almost like I was forced into okay, you're the only one. You've got to clean it. You've got to do this. You've got to keep it organized. And I'm like, starting to spin out of control. And then it's like, just do it. Just go do it right now. And you've got 2 hours. And usually it'll take me maybe 30 to 45 minutes and I'm done. It's not a lot, to do. It's just stuff that I've left out. And if I would put things where they go and keep it put up, it would be a lot easier. But it's hard to do that.
Oh my goodness. I guess that's another thing that with discipline can become a good habit. I'm not disciplined enough at it yet.
Yes, we're learning.
Right?
We're doing
not
better.
there yet, but and so she just Joyce Meyer just says, by disciplining it and keeping it on what you are doing. So, all right, fantastic. We'll see you at the next part.